Hello everyone, just letting you know right now at the start of the video, this is going to be a full, a full spoiler review about the whole movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, turn the video off right now. So, my thoughts on No Way Home. This movie, unfortunately, to me, this is my opinion, is just a mess. Especially the first act. Now let me get into the first act. At the beginning, it starts off really good. The first 5-10 minutes were really well written. Every scene had a purpose. It all mattered. And it was really good. And I didn't go into this movie with a critic mindset. I was trying to just keep my hype in the middle because I wasn't sure Toby and Andrew were going to be in it. And I didn't want to get too excited, so I did what I did with Eternals, which is the lowest Marvel movie rating on everything. I don't know how. But that movie is one of my favorite MCU movies. And I just kept my expectations in the middle for Spider-Man. I did not want to get too hyped and get let down. And I knew going into this, just by the trailer, I knew the story was going to suck balls. And I knew I had a feeling that it was mostly just going to be fan service. And I was basically fucking 99% accurate on that statement. Because this movie, man, this story makes no sense to me. It's just, not that it's confusing, I don't understand it. It's fucking stupid, and how the writers did it. Everyone would be like, oh, you make a better Spider-Man movie. I could have wrote this movie better. It's like a fucking 10-year-old wrote it. Because I'm going to explain to you why I think that. I'm not just going to say that, I'm going to explain. The first act of this movie, like I said, I'm not going to repeat myself, but it starts off, the first 10 minutes is really well done. Mysterio reveals Peter's identity, blah, 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 blah. But in the trailer, they did what they did with Venom. They made the trailer so badass. It barely showed any comedy in the trailer other than the stupid Scooby-Doo joke that Doctor Strange says. But other than that, they were balls to the walls in the trailer. So I wanted this movie to start off with a bang and keep that momentum going. Which it did not. Once we get to the jail, not the jail, the FBI building, because they're questioning Peter if he killed Mysterio. Peter's part is straight good, but it only lasts like 10 seconds. I was expecting a bit more, and so it skips to Ned, Aunt May, blah, blah, blah. From there on out, for the first act, it's just jokes, non-stop, on top jokes. And it's just ridiculous. It completely sucked me out of the, I was not out of the movie, but it just made me caring because I wanted it. I didn't think the whole movie was going to be dramatic, but I wanted the first act to have some heavy dramatic stuff, and it did. But when it did, Marvel came in and ruined it with the comedy. And it's not like it's even good comedy. It's not like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not funny at all, and it's just so cringe. There was a couple of funny lines, but I can't remember because I wasn't trying to pay attention to the comedy. I'm sitting there trying to understand the story and what's going on. So the first act sucked. It fucking sucked. Peter goes to school. Everyone's looking at Peter. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, we're getting into the drama scene finally. Things are going to start picking up dramatically. As soon as he steps into the school, he has a conversation with the janitor and a teacher. And they're like, oh my god, you're Spider-Man. And then they just start cracking jokes. And then Peter has to walk through the hall with everyone taking pictures of him. I'm like, how am I supposed to take this seriously? You're literally just cracking jokes like 2 seconds before this. And I couldn't take it seriously. So then we move to the bridge, the train, not the train, that's Spider-Man 2. We get to the highway fight with Doc Ock. Peter doesn't do anything. He doesn't barely fight back. All he does is just swing and dodge. That's all he does. He barely even fights back. He has Doc Ock for like a second, and then what you see in the trailer, he gets into like a chokehold. Blah blah blah. So then that whole scene ends. Green Goblin, or before it ends, Green Goblin comes in, and then they vanish away. So then we go to, because Doctor Strange teleported them. So then we get to Doctor Strange's thing. Doc Ock has his moment. Most of the returning characters, the villains, they killed it. They did an awesome job. Green Goblin especially. The only thing that pissed me off was there was no, when they go to reveal Green Goblin and his mask is on the dumpster and it's just sitting there, I was like, oh, they're going to show William Dafoe's like face without the mask on. And I was expecting like a kind of cool, like, start off from like lower waist maybe and like work your way up and just build up that face reveal and make it intense. And they didn't do that, and it was just like a boring, like, here's Green Goblin's mask, and then quick cut to the fucking, and then you see William Dafoe, and I was like, oh, it's not like, it would be cool if they did like a little, whatever, that's just a little nitpick. Anyways, one of my favorite moments, definitely hands down. The first act might have been bad, but what saved it for me was having Daredevil, because everyone was talking about Toby and Andrew. And just seeing Daredevil and like no one was talking about him barely. So my mind wasn't thinking about it. Just seeing him, I love him as Daredevil. He does so good. But that was another thing about this movie. All the online speculation kind of killed the hype for me. Because once the third act comes, and it does pay off, don't get me wrong, but, and this is a spoiler review, so turn this off. But when I saw Toby and Andrew, I was so happy, but at the same time, the internet kind of, like, everyone was talking about it, so it was kind of in my mind that they were going to be in it. But if the internet wasn't talking about it, it would have been a better surprise. Anyway, my issue with that scene, Andrew Garfield, number one, he fucking kills it. He did better than Tom and Toby put together. Andrew just killed it. He's always been one of my, for me, it's Toby, Andrew, and then Tom. But in this, Andrew just stole the show. But his entrance, I really enjoyed. As soon as I saw that silhouette in his body, I was like, oh yeah, that's Andrew. And then he came out, and oh my god, my fucking face, everyone was cheering. I didn't cheer. My fucking face just lit up, and the whole theater just went nuts. And then I kind of wanted them to wait a couple of scenes and then bring Toby in. But it's like literally Andrew comes in, and then 2 seconds after, fucking Toby comes in. And I'm like, really? They didn't build it up at all. They built up Andrew's. They did not build up Toby's. And he deserved so much more, man. He deserved so much more. It was just, he did come in like, you know, like Toby would, just walking in casually. And that was funny. I loved that little touch. But they didn't build up to his character coming through at all. Like, Andrew came in, and then Toby comes in literally right after him. Like, fuck, really? Like, that's kind of gay. Anyways, we get to the third act. The big bridge fight happens. What I wanted emotionally from this movie, they did get. With Aunt May and everyone at the bridge. Having their 3 Spider-Man moment. And that was amazing. I just... almost cried, man. I almost cried. Almost. I didn't, but I almost did. But that moment between all 3 of them was just amazing. I absolutely loved it. I just absolutely loved it. But the third act, to me, was the best part of the movie, but the first act didn't make up for it because all the build up to this moment didn't feel the biggest payoff at the end like I wanted to. But the third act, in an action way and character way, paid off. Tom Holland beats the shit out of Green Goblin. The only thing I was confused about was when Doctor Strange said they're coming in, and then no one came in because they stopped them. But I'm sitting there like, who could it be? The end of this movie, I really, really, really did like how they did it. But you got to think, man, the story, like the ending was good. The ending was good with Mary Jane. No one knows who he is. Everyone gets a fresh start. Their lives are ruined. And then Peter gets his last final swing. But the structure of the story just wasn't there. It just wasn't. But when the emotional moments happened, certain ones I felt, certain ones I didn't. So for me, this movie it did and it didn't live up to the hype. I really, 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 the third act was hands down probably one of the best third acts. Like probably the best, other than Infinity War and Endgame. This is the best ending, I think. Third act, boss fights, everything. Aunt May dying, I almost cried, but I didn't because I still didn't feel that connection. When Gwen cried in Amazing Spider-Man, when she died, I cried. I fucking cried. But I didn't hear the emotional connection was almost there for me. Almost. But she's not quite yet. Anyways, tonight or tomorrow I'll be dropping a review for Dexter Season 1. Thank you everyone for watching.